Let's talk about the Kansas City Chiefs. We obviously have to refer to them legally as the two-time defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, going for the unprecedented three-peat. And one avenue, of course, to improve this football team is the upcoming NFL draft. And Brett Veach recently gave an insight into what big-time move, the Chiefs could be doing involving the first round of the draft just a few short days away. Let's get into the article, and we'll talk about more of what it could mean on the other side. This is courtesy of The Athletic. This year, the Chiefs draft could start in the middle of the first round. It's obviously a sign of a big-time trade, perhaps as early as the 14th pick, which the New Orleans Saints possess. If Veach can move the Chiefs to the 20th pick or even higher, it will be the highest pick he's ever had as a general manager. I can envision myself doing that, but you've got to get the owner's approval on that, Veach said with a smile Friday during his pre-draft news conference. We have a pretty good plan this upcoming week, but every situation is unique. I certainly could see something like that, but a lot of things have to fall in place. All right, Miles, I don't know about you, but I don't think I've ever heard Brett Veach be so open and direct and honest about the fact he could be willing and envisioning himself to trade up. I'm curious what your thoughts are on that, but first, Chiefs fans in the comment section below. Last week, we asked you guys to give us the biggest draft bust in Chiefs history, so we're going to flip the switch a little bit. Give us, in your opinion, the biggest steal in Kansas City Chiefs history. There's a lot of really interesting names, but we want to hear from you guys in the comment section below. Give us what you think is the biggest Chiefs draft steal of all time. But, Miles, give me your thoughts on Brett Veach's comments and the moves the Chiefs are potentially planning here.
Yeah, Nate, this seems like a really smart idea by the Chiefs, and it's like you said, we've never seen them have a pick this high in all of Veach's career, and Veach has been a very talented talent evaluator, so I'd really like to see what he's able to do if they can move up into the middle of the pack. The Chiefs are going through what we like to call suffering from success. They're so good that they're always down at the bottom of the drafts, and some of the top high-end players usually aren't available to them. Now, like you said, we're asking about draft steals. They do find a lot of steals, a lot of gems later on in the draft. But this is a team who I think would probably like to be up in the mid-round and say, hey, we can get one of these premier players. There's always a really great wide receiver there. There's always a really great offensive tackle there around that spot that the Chiefs could capitalize on. And I think it's really interesting. Later in the article, they talk about Coach Andy Reid, and he talks about what the team needs. And he says, do we get a receiver? Do we get a tackle? Well, I think, at pick 32, either of those things are pretty tough to get a quality guy at. But unfortunately, like you said, they're suffering from success. They're champions. They're at the 32nd pick. He said when you move up, all the options open up to you. So I think if, let's say hypothetically, they get to number 14 with the Saints, they make that trade, they're in a much better position as far as getting a plug-and-play left tackle to help protect Patrick Mahomes or getting some wide receiver help as well. So I think this would be a great move by the Chiefs because there's a couple of things they need, and right around that area is where you're still able to get some premium players at that position as well. So hats off to Brett Veach. I really like his ability to say, like, hey, we're trying to move up. We're open for business, so to speak, and we want to get something done. So I think this will be big news for Chiefs come draft time, and I think that we are going to see something really exciting here in the next week.
Oh, yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think Veach is planning to make a big trade here to move up into the draft. And if you look at the history of the Chiefs and draft in the first round over the past 5 years or so, if you look at their big hits, I think the biggest name that comes to mind is Trent McDuffie, right? The all-world, all-pro superstar corner who they traded up with the New England Patriots a couple of years ago to pick him, I believe, at number 21 overall, right? And if you look at the years where they've had the number 32 overall pick, you have Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who's been a solid player, right? Nothing special. And last season they had 31, not 32. But they got Uzomah, the defensive end from Kansas State. Jury's still out on him. Didn't really play a whole lot. We'll see how good he is long term for the Chiefs. And I think Veach is looking at that and says, listen, the two times we were picked, the last pick in the first round, we got okay players, we got decent players. But at this situation, we need some guys. We need some big time elite playmakers to help us make this transition because there are a few weaknesses on this team. I mean, it's a very well balanced team, but this is a team that survived on just championship metal, Patrick Mahomes magic, Andy Reid and Spagnuolo genius, and just guys like Chris Jones taking their game to another level. There are a few holes on this roster that need to be filled if they want to get that three-peat, if they want to keep winning more titles, and they need some more top-line talent. And I think Veach is directly looking at the McDuffie pick from a few years ago and says, we need our next Trent McDuffie, whether not necessarily a corner, but a player of that caliber that we can get in the middle, maybe second half of the first round. And I think that's what Veach is playing here. I think he's planning to make that big-time trade. Because here's the other element to it, like you brought it up. The Chiefs are so good at finding players in the third and fourth and fifth rounds and making them be quality players. They basically use third round picks and get second round value out of them. Fourth round picks get second round value out of them, which is really a Chiefs superpower over the past 5 years or so. But they still need, and I think this is the one thing limiting the Chiefs' potential from maybe getting their three-peat, another star or two, right? And I think we saw that in some of their playoff matchups. They were able to skate by in terms of great coaching and clutch plays. But if you look at, for example, the game against the Ravens and sometimes the moments against the 49ers, in terms of top-light star talent, those two teams had an edge on Kansas City. Again, it came down to Mahomes being Patrick Mahomes and just clutch team defense at times to pull those victories out for Kansas City. But I think Veach and company understands is that, listen, sometimes that's not enough, right? The Ravens are going to get better. The 49ers could get better. The Bills, they didn't get better this offseason, but you know what I mean? There's a chance that the Bengals are going to be back, for example. So you have to add another star or two. They couldn't do it during free agency because they obviously had the cap limitations. I think trading up in the draft, which it sounds like Veach is going to do, would be an absolutely really smart move by Kansas City.